This truck is my 2021 Toyota Tacoma named Girth Brooks, and Girth got totaled last year by hitting an elk, unfortunately. At least that's the way my insurance company saw it. But after some negotiations, I got them to cut me a check so that I could rehab this truck, rebuild it in the way that I wanted to build it, add a ton of very expensive modifications to it, and now we're at a point in the build where it's not done, but we can go out and test this stuff. And that's what this video was intended to be. But as you're going to see, a lot of things happened during this trip to Moab that I just couldn't help but video. Even though it doesn't pertain to the mods that we did, there's a lot of action, a lot of fun, and a little bit of turmoil. So sit back and enjoy a video that's going to be very nutrient dense and mixed in with a ton of random action that we got when we were on this trip in Moab.
Do portals hinder your speed on the highway? Well, I'm on a 1,100 mile road trip in my Tacoma on portals, and as you can see right now, I'm going, well, it was 88. I've been averaging between 85 and 90, and everything's working great. In fact, it maintains freeway speeds much better because we've reduced the gearing to these 40-inch tall tires. So now I've just got to get to Moab, and I want to drive 8 hours today. And so after 8 hours of driving, we're going to take a laser thermometer and we're going to check the temperature of these portals to see how hot are they getting on a really long road trip like this. All right, we just drove for 9 hours. The portals are definitely be good and hot. I'm very curious as to what temperature we're gonna see, because I was going 90 for good stretches and we're averaging probably like low 80s. What a great time for that horn to go off. Follow me. We're at 135. So the rears are probably gonna be hotter than the fronts. 132, so I'd say that's pretty consistent. The fronts, I'm anticipating being cooler because we're driving with the rears, because we're not driving around in four-wheel drive. We're at 91 over here and 98 over here. This one's leaking already, which sucks. And I think that's probably why it's a little bit warmer. There's probably a little bit less fluid in it. So that's something I'm gonna have to deal with this week, but it's all good. So now we're ready, we can fuel up and go find camp and get this party started.
Now I'm going to take you on Pritchett Canyon. And to be clear, we're not just hitting Pritchett Canyon, we're doing a whole week of wheeling, and we drove all the way here, well over 1,000 miles. We're going to drive all the way home, well over 1,000 miles. This is what I built this truck to do. We're not just hitting Pritchett Canyon and then going back to an Airbnb. All of the stuff that I need for a week, all of my clothes, all of my food, everything to cook, it's all here with me in this truck. Pritchett Canyon is rated a 9 out of 10 trail, and just for comparison, the Rubicon Trail in California is rated an 8 out of 10. So this is on the tougher side. It's not a buggy trail in my opinion. However, there are plenty of obstacles here where you will see buggies struggle for, 30 minutes maybe to be able to get tires up on top of them.
Oh, that crawl box is nice. Hey Mike, it's not gonna feel great, but turn your tires my way and just let it crawl, and then once it starts to come up, go the other way. So go driver first, and just let it crawl. Let's let it eat, let's see what happens. Yeah, that's nice and slow. God, that's nice and slow. That makes me want a crawl box. You see that rear tire? It's finding traction right there. Oh, baby. Keep it coming. There it is. Now go the other way. Yep, go direct passenger. And now you took that first layer of highway rubber off, and now they're going to stick a little bit.
How's my driveline, Nate?
Your driveline's much better now that it's two-piece. Look at that. Oh, it's fighting. It's fighting. The STT Pro doing work.
We've got 3 trucks in our group. You've got my Tacoma on 40s, you've got Mike's Tacoma on 39s, and then Kelly's S10 on 37s. He decided to swap it up to a 37 for this trip to make it a little bit better on the highway and hopefully build in a little reliability and durability on the trail.
Good. Your passenger side's been fine. Yep, it looks real good. You have to stay right there straight.
Definitely nastier than it used to be. It was not like that before.
This is week 5. Stay driving.
We finally made it to Chewy Hill, and to me this is where Pritchett Canyon really starts. And this obstacle does not prefer long wheelbase, it does not prefer short wheelbase, it does not prefer lots of horsepower or very little power. It is very interesting to me how many vehicles struggle up this. It looks simple and it is just, it's not. It is very difficult to get up these double stair steps. But I have a technique that if you've seen this channel and me do Pritchett Canyon, or you've seen me on all the other channels that I've done Pritchett Canyon with, there's like an uncomfortable technique that I do that usually works pretty good. So I'm gonna put tires on it with the Tacoma and see how this nice girthy platform does going basically sideways up Chewy Hill.
Oh, come on, grip it. You see, this obstacle is so much harder than it looks.
Yeah.
It looks like you just walk up it and you just don't.
I know.
Being this wide has its benefits, clearly. I mean, it's hard to tell from the camera, but I was very, very sideways and I felt completely comfortable because the truck was nice and wide, it felt good and planted. The independent front suspension really helps reduce the amount of like body roll whenever you get off camber like that. And I could not be more pumped with what this truck could do. And you might think that it has something to do with the wheelbase, but all 3 of these trucks are right around 130-inch wheelbase. And I mean, you'll see.
Keep it coming. Now I want your driver tire right here. Yeah. It'll take a little bit to get up this. Keep going. The rear's going to do what the rear wants to do. We just need to get the front up. There we go. Okay. Hang on. Yeah, that looks good. Start to go driver. Okay, slower. Is that as slow as you go?
double stair steps are so much harder than they look on the internet, always. And this is like a very common quality of Moab, and you can see it right here. I would say that 7 out of 10 trucks that I have done this with go up with a winch. Even trucks with huge horsepower and huge tires, you know, and that's another thing. With big horsepower, people will get frustrated and they just stab that throttle, and I've seen people go on their side on this obstacle just because they're frustrated and they start rage crawling. Luckily, that none of that's going to happen here, but Mike does have one very big problem with his truck that I would be curious to see if he changes after this trip. That spare tire back there has got to go if you're going to do 9 out of 10 rated trails, because even though this is a long wheelbase truck and it absorbs that big heavy spare behind the rear axle well, when you're doing trails like this, you notice those front tires are much lighter than they would be without that spare back there. So that is definitely keeping him from going up. But outside of that, it's just a tough obstacle. And unfortunately, with Kelly's truck, we do run into an unexpected issue.
Now go hard driver. Get that other tire up, that undercut. Okay. Hear what he says.
Hey, how's my drive line?
Oh yeah. It's so much better now, dude. It's ridiculous. 2-piece drive line. Yeah. Oh, stop. Oh no. We rung the dinner bell. Well, it's time to winch, obviously.
Yeah.
And then we got to unlock that front hub.
I mean, I don't know what.
Well, it's either the hub or the shaft. I didn't see anything come out, so yeah, well, it's obviously winch. And then the front is
This isn't supposed to be an adventure video. This is supposed to be about the regirth. So while Kelly is figuring out what's wrong with his truck, why don't we talk about how some of the parts are doing this week? First off, the interior mods. I have this like little purse thing, that's what I'm calling it anyway, that I put right next to my head. And I've got my sunglasses in there. I've got a headlamp in there. That has been phenomenal. The way that I have placed these cameras, also phenomenal. My ability to just very quickly grab my big mirrorless or to grab my drones, having it all right there, having it organized has been phenomenal. But as far as interior mods go, I think that the front camera might be my favorite.
we already hit a trail before this, and the front camera is a game changer. It seems gimmicky until you use it. So I've got this little camera here so you can see what I see. Oh, first off, let's hit lockers. There's rear, and there's front. Now I can see in the camera great. All I see is sky out of the windshield. And on obstacle like this, it's not as important, but whenever we're doing anything that we're gonna be like a long run and you crest and you don't know if when you crest you go left or right, this action camera has been so phenomenal.
I also had a failure the day before this.
First failure on the truck. Whoops-a-daisy. We have a power steering line that seems to be giving us some sort of fit.
Lucky for me, this was just a loose pressure line on the power steering system. So I tightened it back up, topped it off, and we were good to go. Unluckily for Kelly, we threw a couple different hubs at this thing because that's what we thought the noise was. It sounds like slipping splines, and that did not fix his problem.
Dang.
So after much deliberation, we decided that we should just move on to Rocker Knocker, and Kelly will just winch his way through most of the obstacles so that whenever we get to camp tonight, we can pull apart this front end and find out what's going on. I genuinely thought that if I warmed these tires up, I was gonna crawl right up because it just felt really good, but it didn't work out that way. This is the line that I used to take in my Jeep TJ, which is about 103-inch wheelbase, and we are 130, so that is a giant difference in wheelbase. I just don't fit in the same places, so I spent a pretty good amount of time on Rocker Knocker just like playing around with different routes and different lines to see where this truck fit. And one thing that I loved about it is how stable it felt everywhere. I had enough belly clearance that I wasn't billing out anything. It was very enjoyable to be in this situation. And then eventually I found that the right line for me was basically just right up the middle.
Oh, there it is. Keep crawling. Slow. There you go. You're on a... Yep. Driver.
So if I blast it a little bit, little Moab bump right here, is there anything on my right side that's going to lift the front end?
No, not on the right side.
I got a few feet at least, right?
There's
No.
there's like a little lip about this big.
I'm gonna stand right on it so you can see where it's at, okay? Going right at the edge.
That was the weirdest way I've ever seen anyone do Rocker Knocker. Holy shit. Buddy. Shit. Are you guys okay? Yep.
Yep.
All right.
Watch your head, okay? I'm gonna help you get up.
Yep. We need to get you guys out first. Well, I need to turn around so I can winch him, I suppose. I don't think we winch him down. I don't think it's safe. I think you have to winch him up. That's a hell of a winch.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a winch. Damn.
Unfortunately, this is the risk that we all take whenever we go out and do this stuff, and that is why it's exciting. So I feel bad for Mike. The goal is just get him back over, which we did, and then back it down to a point where we can pull the plugs, which we did. We pulled the plugs out of one side because the other side was covered by a supercharger, and then we turned the engine over by hand to make sure there was no oil in the cylinders to bend a rod whenever we go to start it. But everything spun really nice and smooth, so all we had to do was turn it over.
Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds great. You would hear it.
It starts good enough. We have spent plenty of time on this obstacle, so now it's just winch fest. Let's get everybody up and over the obstacle and into the darkness to finish probably what is the hardest part of Pritchett Canyon, and something that I really need to focus on. I know a bunch of you can relate to this. Are we at the widest? We are. You power through weeks of trying to get your truck together. You go to bed late every night, all the way up until you leave. You drive 19 hours to one of these places, and then you stay up late every night with your homies because it just feels so good to just talk and, you know, give each other a hard time. And so when you get on a trail like this, you just don't make the best decisions. I think that a smart decision would be for me to video less of this and make sure that I can get out safe so that I'm a good anchor point to get these guys out safe. So we're gonna pick this back up in the morning. Let's just do that. Let's pick this video back up in the morning. If I have any highlights, I'll cut those in, but we're more than likely just gonna pick this back up in the morning and then go through some of the other aspects of the truck that have been unreal, and then I guess go pick some other trails once we fix Kelly's front axle.
Okay, slow crawl, slow. There you go. driver if you can. There you go. Passenger, yep, right there.
I think we got off trail at like 12:30 or 1 in the morning. We didn't look great as a unit. 2 of our trucks were down. Luckily, the Tacoma held together for this. And this was one of the big benefits of being like a nomad style truck. We didn't have to drive all the way back to town, which takes a couple hours from Yellow Hill. Instead, we set up camp, and this is a good opportunity to talk about the rooftop tent because I get so many questions about my camping setups. So this is the iCamper Mini. This is their newest version, and it is the deluxe version. My last iCamper Mini that was on here, I loved it. It is probably my favorite tent out of all the tents that we have, and it's for a few different reasons. It's super light. It's 125 pounds, which doesn't add a whole lot to the weight of the truck. It sets up extremely fast and goes down extremely fast. The deluxe version comes with all these different things that people would upgrade on the older versions, and it just comes with the tent, like an inflatable mattress, so you can deflate the mattress, giving you more room to be able to like put a pillow and a blanket and a few things in there instead of having to keep it all in the cab of your truck. I love that. In my family, the iCamper is our favorite tent out of all the tents that we've used because the fabric is so dark. It is remarkable how dark it is. And when you camp with kids a lot like we do, it's really nice to be able to sleep in and have zero light in the summertime, wake your kids up at like 5 in the morning and start making noise in camp and waking everybody up. So long and short of it is I love this tent. It's only 125 pounds. It fits nice and slim and perfect on this little bed, and I couldn't imagine using another tent on this truck. This truck is almost built around this dimension so that we could make a bed that fit as a base for this tent. Yesterday was a little brutal, but we found a camp on our way out. It's gorgeous. Really nice way to wake up. We're going to take it easy today. My friend Kelly here is going to try to fix his truck. We think that, well, you know what? I'll tell you what we think once we have it apart. I think it's going to make a lot more sense. So Kelly's going to put away camp real quick. I'm going to start cooking a little food. This is not going to be an ambitious day. This is going to be a slow day. The cooking setup. This is an electric cooktop. I've been wanting to go electric for a long time. I've had this, it's actually missing a little foot down there, unfortunately. I've had this for a while and I've used it in my Land Rover. Because what's nice about cooking electric is if it's windy or anything, it doesn't matter. I'm not having to carry any extra propane or any of that. So, you know, it takes up so small a space in your gear, which I love. And then tonight, I'll show you tonight when I cook a steak. I've got this tiny Easy Bake oven, and between the two of those, I can basically cook anything. It's been awesome so far. So all of that comes off of this big house battery that I put in, 200 amp hour. You can hear the inverter going, the red arc inverter. It all gets charged by the BC to DC charger. And so throughout the day, this charges, and then so far I've been able to get away with one charge supplying me with enough power to cook breakfast and dinner. Or sorry, I guess I should say the opposite. You get to camp, you cook dinner, and then the next morning cooking breakfast. So I told you that this video is going to be mostly about the truck and not as much about me and my experience. I'm a gear nerd. I love tech, and especially when it has to do with managing like this whole battery system. What's nice is that I can pull this up any time of the day, and it links to that red arc system, and it gives me exactly what's going on with the charging system. So right now we're a pretty indirect sun, and we've got 24 watts of solar coming in, which is kind of nice. And this shows a little bit of I think that's amperage going out. No, that's amperage going in. So on my other red arc system, whenever you open up the app, it actually shows percentages of batteries and all that. Those systems take up a lot more space, so that's why for this truck I decided to go with a simpler version, and it shows basically voltage of the different batteries, and then it shows how much solar is coming in, and then you can change like your charge mode from like touring mode to a couple others, which is kind of nice. So far everything's charging just fine. I know that this has a smart alternator. I don't know if there is going to be some cons with that and if there's something I'm going to need to change, but for right now it's charging during the day, and it says we have 13.2 volts in the house battery, And it even shows the temperature of the battery, which is pretty rad. And speaking of solar, I didn't exactly go through the solar last episode. This is an 80-watt solar panel from a company called Lensun Solar. And the reasons that I would even consider putting solar on what I consider to be a rock crawler, I mean, we just did Pritchett Canyon with it, is the fact that this doesn't have really any cons. The other solar systems that I have are very big, heavy, they're full of glass, and they work phenomenal. But they're not great if you're going to do 9 out of 10 trails. This is paper thin. I don't even know it's there. And ultralight, of course. And it's made to fit on top of the iCamper Mini. So I get all the benefits of solar. And because of the way that this just plugs right into my BC to DC charger, I get even more benefits in the fact that this charger uses solar to top off the house battery. And then once the house battery is done and topped off, once I go and park the truck, it's slowly going to trickle charge the start battery automatically. I don't have to do any work. It's just an automated system that works in the background, and I get all of the benefits of solar without any of the cons, meaning that like it takes up space for that I would have been able to use for something else. This just glues basically right on top of the iCamper Mini. The only gripe that I have is that they didn't send it with any adhesive or they didn't send it with any double stick tape, so I went and bought the best stuff that I could find locally, but it's already coming off. So I'm going to write an email to them and find out what they recommend to stick this to the rooftop tent. But outside of that, I'm loving the fact that I'm just charging all the time and I never have to think about it. It's just I'm getting free energy falling from the sky.
Well, it doesn't normally come out this way.
Well, that'd be good news if it comes out in half.
Well, it feels like that's the whole shaft.
It's sliding out pretty good.
I mean, it's together.
It is together. That's bad news.
Yeah.
So then what the heck is spinning? How do those inner splines look? It has to be in the CV, right?
I mean, these look fine.
Those do
They're
look
not
fine.
bent. They're not even like shattered or anything.
No. Well, you're going to pull it for an investigatory mission?
Well, I mean, yeah, kind of have to at this point, right?
Yeah, you're already there. Then we at least know.
Yeah, but this whole center section, oops, seems a little loosey-goosey to me.
It's definitely like bound up in some way too. I'm just trying to see if there's any like chunky parts in there. There's definitely something has come apart in there. I mean, it shouldn't be binding up like that when you're trying to.
Kelly broke something. No idea what it is. We're going to have to fix it whenever we get back to Washington, I guess. But the good news is we can just unlock the front hubs on his front axle, and he's going to ride shotgun with me. So he's going to use his truck as a mobile tent, essentially, and a way to get, a way to drive his 1,400-mile trip back home. But in the meantime, he's going to hop in shotgun with me, and we're going to focus on this Tacoma. See what we like, see what we don't like. Suspension really works in this thing. We've got a mile of clearance underneath it, which is obviously very welcome. But the 3-link that I did a few years ago in the rear was already at great angles, but with the portals, it made everything super flat. Same thing with the front suspension, super flat. And the ride characteristics and the handling characteristics are so good in this truck now. The stability of this truck is bananas. I don't know if I've ever had so much confidence in a truck. It's not very tall, but it's tall enough to have a good breakover. It's 130 inches long, which just gives it so much stability and gives me so much confidence on the steep stuff. And then because of the fact that it's 93 inches wide, yeah, you've got to squeeze through some spots here and there because it's 93 inches wide. But whenever you're on any of these like long, stretches where you're going uphill, you're having to turn part away going uphill and you're looking down at your doom, I've never felt more confident than I do in this truck. The lack of body roll because of the independent front suspension and the angles, how flat they are from the portals. It is a dream to use this off-road and even on-road. We're just about to head out of town, but there's one more modification that I want to check the success rate of, and I know it's going to be decent, but we'll see how decent, and that is the air filter. How much less dust am I getting in my air box with that Snorkel? Man, I'd argue that doesn't even need to be changed. I want to see what Kelly's looks like. I mean, that looks pretty dang good. What does yours look like, Kelly?
What's up?
What does yours look like? Oh, that's a lot smaller air filter.
It's pretty small. I mean, it's pretty darn dirty.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah. It's way better now.
That's the best mine's ever looked, and it's definitely that Snorkel topper.
Absolutely.
Being able to filter things out.
I need to get myself.
I'd almost not even
change it.
But I have another one and they're $13, so I'm gonna definitely change it.
Yeah.
Every single trip that I do like this, we're driving really long distances, I always change the air filter right before I go home because you're gonna pay for it in fuel anyway. So might as well change it before you go, and then you start fresh when you get home anyway. And then on the way home, you should hopefully get a little bit better MPG. So maybe I'll get 11 instead of 10 or whatever this thing gets. Speaking of mods, ignore all the lights, please. There's I still need to handle all these lights, but speaking of mods, look at the temperature, 42 degrees outside. And heated seats, bro. This is officially a rich kid truck. I know, you could argue that maybe it was a rich kid truck before this, but it certainly feels luxurious to have heated seats. Would you like a free shirt? We've got free shirts. So this is a collaboration shirt for Easter Jeep Safari that we did with NITTO, and they just knocked it out of the park. This thing looks so good. So I've got, we'll just say a few dozen of these, probably like 30 or 40. So anybody who orders a clothing item on our website, just in the comments, put what shirt size you are, and we'll send you a free shirt until we're out. We just have what we have. We're not ordering anymore or anything like that. I'm not selling these. I'm not trying to make money on these. This is just if you order normal stuff, we're already going to be shipping you a beanie or one of our, sweatshirts or any of our other clothing items. So we can throw this in there for free for you. Huge thanks to NITTO for putting the shirts together for us. This truck rules. I love it. There was like a 3,500 mile journey that we did in it, and it did so dang good. There's clearly a lot of things that I need to solve. I need to put a collision avoidance sensor back in here and get that fine tuned, and I need to get like a real alignment and wrap it, and we want to change out the front coilovers because I want to try to make this flex as good as a solid axle truck. So that'll be the next episode in the regirth. But for now, I'm gonna take it turkey hunting. Tomorrow I drive this 6.5 hours to the other side of the state, and I'm gonna be spending the week living out of this truck, hunting out of this truck, and just enjoying having it back in my life. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and get yourself a free shirt. You know what, I'll save a couple of these for the trail too. So if you see me on the trail, ask, I might have one of these on me.